Wow. It is the government against the people. That's a good one. That's what I'm saying. And then while all this is happening and while the economy is showing all these cracks and the government shutting itself down and then nobody's addressing any actual problem, Trump, in his wisdom, decides that it's the perfect time to declare war on these fucking drug cartels. It's October, I think, 2nd. Let's see, pull it up here on Twitter. Yeah, so Trump, he's notifying Congress via confidential memorandum that the United States is now engaged in non-international armed conflict with designated drug cartels. What a bunch of fucking horseshit. He labeled them as non-state armed groups. I'm all for eliminating cartels and all that shit. Don't get me wrong. We're going to do this. We're going to do this while we're shut down and having a partisan battle over the budget and our economy's already teetering. And you're telling me this is for the war on drugs because fentanyl is killing too many Americans and we totally don't want Venezuela's oil while our economy is going to shit. So we don't want to depose the dictator in Venezuela, which his people love him. And we're going to install our own puppet government so that they can give out our giant oil companies great old contracts where we get to rape their natural resources. Does that sound familiar? Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Cool. So we have unlawful combatants now, which legally justifies the U.S. conduct those lethal strikes like we've seen them blow up those fucking boats. We can do this, or at least I should say Trump could do this, without congressional approval, without any arrests, without any trial. You can straight up assassinate these people because you deem them as their cartels, and we are currently in conflict. We're talking about 3 military operations in September, and that killed 17 people at least. And they were suspected of narco trafficking in the vessels that they got shot down in the Caribbean Sea. Drone strikes, Hellfire missiles, you see? Think about that. From fucking Reaper drones. What happened to no new wars? No new conflicts? That's fucking strange. And their memo was citing what I told you earlier, 100,000 fucking deaths from fentanyl overdoses and other narcotics. And they're calling that's their pretext. That's their armed attack on the homeland. And it's a creative interpretation of international law. Everyone knows trafficking drugs is obviously bad, bro. But calling it an armed attack that justifies military force, that's a massive fucking stretch. And that opens the door to all sorts of abuse. That's crazy. So you got Trump targeting the Sinaloa cartel, all these other fucking cartel, Tren de Aragua, constantly hear about them from fucking Venezuela. This Trump, they live like rent-free in his head. And he designated all them foreign terrorist organizations back in January with an executive order. And then he put $50 million bounties on their leaders. What? We have a fucking bounty to kill a head of a nation. And we could just kill them without any due process. Is this sound democratic at all? This is crazy. This is crazy, guys. No due process. Nobody is batting an eye. We are in such a weird political climate that we can put a $50 million bounty on Maduro, a head of a state, and just go, yeah, well, this is an armed conflict. We're fighting cartels, drug trafficking bad, and parking fucking destroyers off the coast near Venezuela. You what, bro? What are we doing? Is this America first? Dude, I want to be really clear about what's happening here. This isn't a new development, dude. Trump's been talking about this shit since the 2024 campaign. He literally said he'd declare war on cartels and then use spec ops and the Navy to target them. And we ate that shit up. A lot of people that voted for him ate that shit up. Because fentanyl that's legitimately a fucking horrendous drug, and it does kill hundreds of thousands probably. And it feels like someone should obviously do something about that, but something doesn't mean unilaterally declaring war without Congress and then assassinating people in international waters. The fuck? We are the bastion of democracy. You what? The legal justification for this is insane. And Trump is invoking Article 2 self-defense powers for it, claiming that drug trafficking constitutes an armed attack under the UN Charter? This shit is fucking laughable, dude. And look, we got people in the comments that are saying fentanyl is a weapon as it's distributed. 100K died each year during Biden. Okay, dude, so we're just good. Due process doesn't mean shit because we don't have strict control of our borders. So unilaterally assassinate people in open waters? Great. Put $50 million bounties on the heads of state? Totally. Totally. Okay. So pretty much, I mean, think about this is fucking insane. We have to argue how this is not fair. This is crazy. So the September strikes look like this in practice. Fire up a nice little Reaper drone based out of some fucking Honduran launch pad or something. Then you get Hellfire missiles at some Venezuelan vessels. That's what they claim. Who knows? In the information age, I don't even know what's real anymore. Or is that a pretext? Hey, we got some people on international water. Let's blow them up so they can't do anything, say anything. We're going to claim the boat had drugs on it. And that's how we're going to invade a country and take their fucking oil. We will absolutely depose the head of state, Maduro. We will bring down a color revolution on their heads and install a puppet government that allows Exxon and all our other big oil companies to come in and take all the oil. But you see, we freed Venezuelans to do this. The people wanted this, right? You have these vessels in the Caribbean, dude, that were allegedly carrying cocaine and fentanyl, allegedly, to the U.S. East Coast. Why didn't they send boats there to confirm that there was literally fentanyl on them? I didn't read of any confirmation. If somebody knows, send it to me, please. Because it's weird how we just blow fuckers up and we don't send in teams to confirm the drugs. Isn't that strange? So we killed 7 fucking people on the first strike. And then I think, I'm not for sure, that it said we seized products, but I didn't see anything specifically. So I may be mistaken, but I'm not sure. So I do know that we somehow drone struck. I think somebody said it was confirmed. Okay. So let's just say there were drugs on the ship. Fine. So we'll walk back that last statement. But saying it was self-defense against terrorists, it's pretty fucking crazy. That to me that's a stretch, bro. Reaper droning people in open waters. You couldn't go and arrest them. You couldn't make a scene out of them on TV. You think those people would have willingly gave their lives for some fucking drugs? Just saying. That one to me is a bit of a stretch, okay, as a self-defense argument there. And then we had another drone strike that killed 10 more people. And these were also allegedly linked to Tren de Aragua. God, I can never say that name right. Why didn't we just arrest these people? Why don't we parade them on TV so we can show Americans? You'd make a stronger case that way. By showing Americans the drug smugglers, where they come from, and then the drugs that they were smuggling, instead of just blowing them up willy-nilly like that, is very undemocratic, I would say. It's actually it's quite crazy. We're sanctioning assassinations. We're not supposed to be the country that does that because we're above everybody else. But I guess morality has essentially fallen to the wayside, even in our country. So, okay. Think about this shit. You're spending how much? How much are you getting taxed for us to just bomb random fucking boats in the Caribbean? Isn't that what our Coast Guard is supposed to be doing? Why are we parking destroyers outside of fucking Venezuela's waters? Weird. Does this make any fucking sense to anybody? Doesn't it feel like we have bigger fish to fry? Americans can't really afford shit. Does this look like a superficial win to anybody else? We bombed some fucking drug smugglers, seized their drugs, whatever. And hey, bro, I can't afford groceries. Hey, I can't pay my car note. Hey, I don't have a job. There's ghost jobs. Hey, the million of other problems the average American is having. Can we solve that first? Can we put America first? I don't care about some fuckers in a boat carrying their fucking whatever, cocaine and all that shit. That's the Coast Guard job. Call our fucking ships back. Hey, why don't we fix the country first? Okay? Really seal up the borders in all our waters. How are they getting in there then? Where's the Coast Guard? So we got all this money. Our defense department is the Pentagon is so bloated. And someone just said one of those missiles the drone uses is $100K, $100,000. Okay. And you got to think, somebody says seize the drugs just to sell it themselves. Do you remember that the CIA was funding all these banana republics and all these dictators with the fucking drug money? That they're facilitating the drug trade in the United States in order to exchange that for influence on these banana republics? Do you guys remember that? That our CIA was making it possible for drugs to enter this country? Haha, the Coke era, exactly. You remember that? Now we're bombing them, acting like we have the moral superiority here. Someone said a Coke import agency. Jesus, yeah. And for those arguing, they'll think, or they're for it. They'll think that on the surface it's okay because we're killing drug smugglers. Fuck it, and seizing fentanyl sounds like a good thing. Of course, why are you complaining about this? And it's fair question. I get it. What's actually fucked up on multiple levels, though, is firstly the legal issue, guys. The War Powers Resolution that requires the president to notify Congress within 48 hours of military action. This is the balance of power we're supposed to have in our country. We don't have it. And that limits that action to 60 days without congressional approval. So Trump notified Congress on October 2nd, which was weeks after the first strikes happened in September. So he already violated the law. And even with the notification, the 60-day clock is ticking. And there's no indication that Congress is going to authorize this, right? Second, there's the precedent issue. If the president can unilaterally declare organizations as armed groups and that their members are, quote, unlawful combatants and that they're subject to extrajudicial killing, what stops the next president from doing that exact same thing to domestic groups? Like, what stops a future administration from labeling, say, Proud Boys or something else on the conservative side if we have a democratic government? I mean, we just did it with Antifa. But if you label them as armed groups, imagine that, and then drone striking members, Americans without trial. This is a massive expansion of executive power that should scare the fuck, regardless how you feel about drug cartels. For conservatives, this should be crazy that we went this route. This is the party of small government, of expanding government powers is a big no-no. We just expanded that again, but it's our side. That's how the conservatives see it. And they willfully clap forward for it. Wow. They'll egg this on. So, okay. Obama already did it too. Obama was the very first president that drone struck. Okay, he was, I think, ISIS, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. He drone struck an American citizen that was ISIS or Al-Qaeda. I can't even remember. Jeez. So that was the first time we've ever killed an American citizen. But he was working directly. He's one of the heads of those organizations, and he was one of the major planners in there. I have to look at that again. So I forgot what that guy's name was. If somebody in the chat remembers the U.S. citizen, what was his name? Somebody said Obama killed 4 citizens with drone strikes. I don't remember what the first one's name was. I just remember it was a big, big deal because that opened up, again, a can of fucking worms for the future. So what could you say the third one is? I guess you could say, how effective is the, quote, war on drugs? How effective has it been? Because we've been fighting that shit since Nixon for 50 fucking years. We spent trillions of dollars, most likely, and we militarized our entire police force, and we incarcerated probably millions of people. And the drugs are still available and more deadly than ever, by the way. So what makes anyone think that killing some fucking smugglers in the middle of the Caribbean is going to solve the fentanyl crisis? When 70% of the fentanyl comes through legal ports of entry. Does that make any sense? And then the 80% of those overdose deaths, they're from pills that are manufactured in labs. We're not even targeting those. You understand how stupid this is? And I'll give you another one. Fourth, there's the international relations issue with the Mexico's president, Claudia Sheinbaum. She repeatedly already said no U.S. invasion, and that we already isolated Canada and shit on them, okay? And then Trump claims he briefed her up on these operations and that they're only happening in international waters, not Mexican territory. The fact is the 6 of the 8 cartels he designated are Mexican organizations. And if he declares, to extend these strikes to cartel labs in Mexico, we're talking about massive sovereignty violations. And that could blow up our entire relationship. Our second largest trading partner, our southern border shared with them. Most likely, the entire government in Mexico is corrupt and taking money from the cartel. Duh. Practically a failed state in that sense. So are we really going to open up a front to target and institute in a holy shit next level war on drugs by dealing with it in the heartland of our southern border? Our southern, really? We're going to, really? Can you see how messed up that this could get? Jeez, man. And Venezuela, I don't even know what to say about Venezuela. They'll probably say the same shit that most of the banana republics said. It's imperialism, imperialist aggression. Mexico, I think I saw the Scheinbaum was saying that it's the United States who's like flowing a bunch of weapons. The only reason the cartel is so well armed is because they're buying American, and American somehow gun manufacturers in one way or another are fueling top end, top spec military grade shit to the cartel. So you have them like pretty much out armed the fucking local police for sure, if maybe not the military. So, how explain that one? Dude, 70% of their guns are American guns. So is the United States going to call an emergency session on that shit? That's weird. If we're really concerned with violence, how are they getting all our weapons? So anyways, Trump gave himself the permission to conduct a military operation anywhere in the world, pretty much wherever he wants. Right now, specifically in Latin America, no permission, designate somebody an armed combatant, and we're ready to rock. Drone strike the shit out of them. And in the future, we'll be drone striking domestic terrorists. And who will that be? It depends who the future president designates as domestic terrorist, isn't it? So certainly interesting. And while Trump's framing this as like an America first, protecting the homeland kind of shit, what is he actually doing? Think about this. He's using the fentanyl crisis as justification for expanding military operations in Latin America. Why? How's that America first? So you're going to set up permanent military presence now in the Caribbean for what? Interdiction operations? You're putting the U.S. Southern Command in charge of what used to be law enforcement operation. So we're militarizing the police, and we're shifting from the DEA model of arrest and prosecution to what? A Pentagon model of targeted killings brought to you by Palantir AI, tracking criminals in real time. And how long until that machine turns inward on the domestic population? Isn't that strange? How we're accepting the erosion of our rights? Think about that. You have to see this for what it is in the future, not for what it's doing today. It sounds nice. It's all fucking roses and sunshine until you get a president you don't like. Or I should say, better yet, a president that doesn't like you. Think, you guys. This is the same guy. I'm telling you. He said he's done with forever wars. He criticized Bush for Iraq, Obama for fucking Libya. Now he's starting undeclared wars against non-state actors in multiple countries using the same legal justifications that led to Guantanamo and extraordinary rendition and all the post 9/11 abuses that we said we'd never do again. May I remind you that? And then you have the ACLU. They filed a lawsuit today. I believe it was calling the assassination policy. That's what they're calling it. And they're right, because that's what Trump created. It's a system where the executive branch can designate anyone it wants as an unlawful combatant. And you can kill them without charges, without a fucking trial, without any oversight except a closed-door memo to congressional intelligence committees. And it won't be declassified probably for like 25 years. So they're going to get away with it. Do you understand? The problem is, and this should piss you off, is that we really do have a fentanyl crisis. That's real. We do have 100,000 people dying yearly from this shit. And that's more than car accidents and fucking gun deaths combined, probably. It's devastating communities across the United States. And it requires, yes, serious policy response. But killing smugglers in the Caribbean isn't fucking serious policy. That shit is theater, dude. It's designed to look tough. Who manufactures most of that? The precursor. China. China makes most of the precursor that they use to cook up all this fentanyl shit. So are we going to go to war with China, the producer? Or are we going to bomb some toads in the middle of the fucking Caribbean? And we're acting like we're fixing the problem. Really? They will have 20 other toads to replace those people. This shit is crazy. So we're acting tough. We're looking tough while avoiding the real hard work and addressing why Americans are using fentanyl in the first place. Why? You want to solve the fentanyl crisis? Address the economic despair in communities where people are turning to these stupid fucking drugs because they don't have jobs or any fucking hope, and crack down on pill mills because these fucking doctors are overprescribing opiates and they create all these addictions as well. That's the legal side. How many doctors did we put in jail? Who was that? The Sackler family? How many millions of Americans ended up addicted to opioids and either took their lives or destroyed their lives? Are they in prison? Are we waging war on pharma? for destroying the health of Americans more than any of these fentanyl toads in the Caribbean could ever. They couldn't dream of prescribing as much drugs to Americans than fucking Big Pharma does with the hundreds of billions in profit that Big Pharma makes. And they get to do this legally, and they get to donate to our government, sponsored by Pfizer, richer than ever. That's correct. Are we going to go after the Chinese manufacturers who supply that precursor? We know who they are, and they send them to the Mexican labs, and they work with Mexico as a partner instead of treating them like an enemy. Are we going to handle that? No, we will bomb toads out of the water, because the hard part, that will require real bipartisan cooperation. And that's a long-term investment. That's a real war. And then you have to admit that the drug addiction is a public health crisis and not a military problem. Good luck with that, right? So Trump pulls the military, launches some fucking drone strikes, kills a couple dozen smuggler toads. But they'll just be replaced tomorrow with some poor fucking farmers. And then you declare victory while the overdosing continues stateside and climbing, most likely. Our economy is so shit that people are going to probably turn to more drugs to cope with the fact they're falling behind in life. Isn't that insane? The Government Accountability Office, they released some reports saying that the post-strike data shows cartel recruitment actually spikes after a military operation because the cartels pay better wages to compensate for the increased risk. So we're literally making the problem worse while pretending we're solving that shit. They'll just throw infinite money at the fucking problem. That's what the cartels do. They have infinite money because infinite amount of Americans are doing these drugs. We are the largest drug market in the world. And then at the same time, in this week, Trump declares war on the cartels and he's letting in 600,000 Chinese students. Do you remember that? With our A1 grade economy, we're going to bring in 600,000 Chinese students to American universities. Remember in the previous stream? And the Chinese law, the same Chinese who manufacture the precursor and work with the Mexican cartels to create the final product that they're sending in to kill Americans, that Chinese government requires any Chinese citizen to cooperate with intelligence services if asked. So we're simultaneously militarizing our drug policy while opening the door to potential espionage from our biggest geopolitical rival. This is winning on a level never seen before. Hand over your awards right now. Am I the only one? The cognitive dissonance is fucking astounding. We're tough on cartels, but we're soft on China. So we're declaring war on non-state actors in Venezuela, but we suck up to Israel and Saudi Arabia who fund terrorism. And we're spending millions. No. We're spending billions of dollars on interdiction in the Caribbean while cutting funding for treatment programs at home. None of that makes any fucking sense until you understand it's all about optics and it's all political theater. Trump's base loves this, dude. His approval rating is 70%. Very nice. Good job. And Fox News is running segments praising him as a warrior president. Conservative influencers are cucking out crazy. Trump finally delivers. America first means carpet bombs for cartels. And then on the left, you got The Guardian. They're calling him the unconstitutional overreach president and stochastic escalation. And that risks blowback across all of Latin America because we are essentially triggering a sovereign crisis with these countries, because at any moment we can just literally bomb you because we designate groups within your country as terrorist or enemy combatants, and we could send little green men. I mean, the pretext, it was already created. Russia knows how to do this better than anyone. Why couldn't we just copy them? Hey, we need to reset the economy anyway. Why not fire off a war? And why not do it in our own backyard where we got the best logistics ever? Latin America. It's about time we reset the fucking geopolitical space down there. We've been losing support ever since China's becoming most of their main trading partners. It'd be nice to go take all their natural resources. Yeah? Is that the long-term play? And me, I'm just sitting here watching all of these stories unfold, all simultaneously. All look so stupid. I have so many other headlines to cover. All the fucking subprime auto lenders collapsing, no big deal in America. The government shutting down, oh, dude, it's normal. We're not trying to fund illegals. Oh, Trump just unilaterally assassinating fuckers and declaring war on cartels. Oh, more of the same. Nothing ever changes. There's patterns in all of these. And that's America's institutions are completely fucking broken. And nobody in power is interested in fixing them. Why? Because dysfunction serves their interest. Do you understand? The subprime auto crisis, that shows that our economy is built on fucking fraud and predatory lending to people who have no other option. And when it collapses, the people who created the fraud get golden parachutes, while the working class borrowers get their cars repossessed and their credit destroyed. Congratulations, we fucked the little guy. Next, the government shutdown. Cool story. That shows our political system devolved into a performative outrage. It's all for show. It's all for awards. Pin them on me, please. Both parties would rather score points and hurt millions of Americans in the process than actually governing this fucking country and doing what needs to be done to actually save it from ruin, because there's no consequences for them. They still get paid, they still get reelected, and the media still treats them like they're serious people instead of the fucking clowns that they are. And then we have the fucking cartel somehow mixed up in all this fucking bullshit. The war, the cartel war. It shows our forest policies based on military solutions to complex problems. We'd rather bomb smugglers than address why they exist in the first place. And then we'll violate international law and expand executive power and then risk blowback with our neighbors. Fucking A1 politicking right there. Because it pays well in campaign ads. Midterms are coming up. Don't forget. Citizen. This is where we are, guys, in October 2025. Okay? The economy's hanging on by a thread. Consumer credit's fucking imploding. The government can't perform basic functions like passing a budget. And we're starting new wars without congressional approval while telling ourselves that this is normal. This is just how America works.